Hello guys, welcome back. My name is Nathan, and today we gotta talk about the real possibility of the NHL having Nickelodeon broadcast their games. Now, you probably know, if you don't, you're probably living under Patrick Starr's rock, but the NFL has had their wildcard weekend these past couple of days, and we've seen some amazing matchups, but today we have the Bears versus Saints, and this game is going to be broadcast on Nickelodeon. Now, I had some concerns, some real concerns, and even though there has been some cringe, I'm recording this right now, midway through the third quarter, and I gotta say, I would love the NHL to step in, somehow make a deal happen, and broadcast some of their games on Nickelodeon. Now, what is the likelihood of this actually happening? What can we expect from an NHL Nickelodeon broadcast, and how would it transition from the NFL to the NHL if it were to happen? Watch till the end for all this speculation, and subscribe if you're new. We like to have fun on this channel, but 70% of the people that watch these videos are not subscribed, so join the Grav gang for more creative topics just like this one. Now, I tried my best to find something SpongeBob related in that closet, but I'm just gonna make do today with this Nashville Predators yellow jersey, and honestly, I think it fits well for the occasion, not gonna lie. But obviously, the NFL Saints versus Bears game, I think it's been a pretty fantastic success overall. There has been some gaffes and goofs, but I think for the most part, it's been an absolute success, and I think the NHL, for a lot of different reasons that we'll touch on today, should do the same. Now, I do want to get the elephant out of the room. There was that situation where one of the Bears players, I can't remember who even said it, but there was one of the Bears players in the second quarter that ended up saying the F-bomb, and it was so blatant you could have sworn it was actually on purpose on national television. And I could just imagine one of the kids being like, "Mom, what was he saying over there?" And the mom's just like, "Look away, son." I have no idea why the mom has that deep of a voice, but we're just going to go with it. Either way, not the greatest look for the NFL, and in the NHL's case, it's going to be even bigger in that direction, so I think Nickelodeon should be a little bit more prepared next time. We'll see, but I think the idea of the NHL having a game on Nickelodeon or Cartoon Network would be fantastic for them, not just in terms of revenue, but mostly in the growth of the game. Now, I want to state this right now, that with the NFL game today, Saints-Bears, even though I'm a Cowboys fan first and foremost, but the Saints are my second favorite team. I used to live in New Orleans, that was why, and I just kind of cheer for them a little bit on the side, but I was not planning on watching this game, but it was on Nickelodeon, and I was just like, okay, we'll see how this disaster comes and just how bad this is. And it really wasn't. It was not that bad. And yes, there was some cringe there sometimes where it was a little bit too kiddie, but it's on Nickelodeon and they went far with it. I'm glad they went in the fun direction, and you could tell they were actually trying, which I think is really, really key. And I would love for the NHL to have just like a specialty game. It doesn't even have to be like a bunch of games. Just have a game like this where you just have a bunch of fun on a different network and have an audience that never has really been exposed to hockey exposed to the NHL. And I saw so many times today, just on my Twitter feed alone, of people and parents that were saying that they could never get their kids to watch sports events, but their kids were glued to the screen for the Saints versus Bears matchup. And again, for the F-bomb, it was not great timing there, so they might get exposed to that, but hey, at least they like football now, so that's fantastic. Either way, you could tell how much good it was doing for the NFL and for football. And again, the NFL rarely looks like geniuses, but in this set of game, in this scenario, they definitely hit it out of the park. And I think just for the game itself, yes, I mean, the Bears aren't that great of a team, but hey, at least the Saints are good, and kids get to watch that at least. But even if it wasn't that great of a game, they were still able to get exposed to a game that they would have not really been exposed to, at least on television. I mean, when I was a kid, all I really watched was Nickelodeon, Cartoon Network, and a few others, but I never really tuned into sports channels unless my dad did or mom did, or whatever it ended up being. I never myself really got into it until later on, actually doing that myself. I was always just glued to the same channels and the same kids' cartoons. And you could tell, and you could kind of realize just how much of an impact it had today, but there's going to be so many kids out there that haven't really been exposed to sports, and especially this year with kids not usually playing on teams because of, you know, the thing, and being away from sports and not really having that kind of, that aspect to their life usually, being able to watch a game on Nickelodeon and have a sports game there, that wasn't just a normal sports game, it was actually Nickelodeon based and themed, and it had a bunch of Nickelodeon slime coming out when the touchdowns came. They really put their all into it and made it an event. And even before the game itself, they had like a bunch of different SpongeBob clips. They had the final countdown going down, or not the final countdown. What am I talking about? Sweet Victory right before the game. It was fantastic, and I think it was done absolutely perfectly. And even though, again, there were some cringy things, you could tell Nickelodeon was kind of self-aware as well, and I think it was just a great show. And for a lot of kids out there that don't usually get those experiences, or at least aren't exposed to it as much as they should be, I think this is perfect for the NFL, perfect for football, and could also be perfect for the NHL. Now, even though this game wasn't the greatest, at least for, actually, the Saints just scored another touchdown, 21-3. There we go, baby. Even though this game isn't the greatest, I'm just thinking for the NHL, if they had one of their Battle of Alberta games set on Nickelodeon night, and just had it on Nickelodeon, and let's be honest here, kids want to be entertained, they want to have something to just watch and be drawn towards. And you put that Mike Smith versus Cam Talbot goalie fight game in front of them, there's no kid that is changing the channel or going away from that. It just is not happening. And for the NFL, I mean, with how many commercial breaks they have and how much craziness there is and how much stoppages there are, if I'm a kid, I'd be much more drawn to hockey, the better sport, by the way, do not at me, and, well, the best sport on earth, hockey. I would be more drawn to that personally. But again, especially if you put the right type of matchup, the right type of rivalry, and again, have those inflammatory comment buttons ready at any moment's notice, then I think it could be pretty much perfect for the NHL. And for them, at least for the NHL, just like kind of the MLB, they're losing a little bit of draw, especially just overall in terms of the younger demographics. You see leagues like the NBA really doing a fantastic job of bringing those kids in, mostly because it's just easier to play and it's more of a widespread phenomenon. But if you put a game on Nickelodeon, that just completely makes it so much more different. Yes, there will be some kids that are turned off and just want to watch their cartoons, but I'm willing to bet if you put the right type of game in front of them and have the kid-friendly and kind of like fun angle on the broadcasting, on the graphics, on the scoreboard, and all this different stuff, if you keep them entertained and get them into the game of hockey, that's exactly what you want. I mean, you want to get fans right from the very start, right to the very end. If you're the NHL, let's be real here, you want to start them as early as humanly possible. A day old, it doesn't matter how early. And if you could get those type of kids who are in that demographic engaged in hockey, then you got a fan for life pretty much at that point. And I think that's what the NHL should be looking at the most. I mean, for the NFL, again, I think this is going to bring so many more eyes to the teams, to the Saints, to the NFL just in general, that wouldn't have otherwise been there. And yes, there will be some cringy moments, but if the NHL does pull it off and somehow gets a game there, then I think it would be an amazing success. Now, there is some legality issues there because obviously with the NFL, one of the main broadcasters there is CBS, and they own Nickelodeon themselves. So yes, they were going to bring some games to Nickelodeon, and they already had the rights, so they might as well put it there. But with the NHL, their main right holder in America at least is NBC, and they don't own Nickelodeon, they don't own Cartoon Network or anything like that. So it would be a lot more of a finagling to make something like that happen. But I could still see like an NBC hosted kind of SpongeBob themed, Nickelodeon themed, maybe have it on both platforms. That's kind of what I'm thinking here, because with the Nickelodeon game today, they had it on like CBS and Amazon Prime with the normal broadcasts, but they had it on Nickelodeon with a kind of kid-friendly theme. So I was thinking maybe they have the normal broadcast on NBC, maybe have like a different option as well on like NHL TV, but have that Nickelodeon kind of theme on Nickelodeon themselves, or even like a Cartoon Network I think would also work very well. I think honestly Cartoon Network with the NHL's more adult themes and more adult game I think would also work, but the NFL has a bunch of head-to-head hitting, so I don't think it would be the biggest stretch in the world. But again, I think it would just be an amazing idea for the NHL. There's a lot of legality issues behind it, but when we talk about growing the game and how many issues the NHL has there, I think just getting kids exposed in that kind of way would do so much good for them. Now, in terms of what they need to grow the game, I think it's lesser on the totem pole getting games on Nickelodeon compared to, actually making hockey equipment feasibly cost efficient. I think that would be the biggest thing the NHL could do, is having like a lesser, like a brand that's not so expensive to actually play hockey and actually have skating more frequently available, especially in southern states and in southern areas, but just in America in general. But I think the main goal should be making hockey less expensive, first and foremost, but also exposing it more, I think, is key. I mean, in terms of marketing, the NHL isn't exactly top tier in my opinion, but a lot of it is just the directions that they're going at. I mean, I never see commercials when I'm watching an ESPN or watching something else. I pretty much rarely ever see commercials on YouTube. I mean, compared to the NBA, I will see like 50 NBA ads for, especially Stanley Cup playoffs wise, to the NBA playoffs. I saw NBA playoff ads like every day on YouTube. For the NHL, for a hockey fan, I didn't see any at all. Now, I did see some on like Chrome and stuff like that on different websites, but besides that, I really didn't see too much marketing at all for the NHL. And I'm growing up, at least, I didn't really see any sniff of that in any kids networks and anything like that either. But just in terms of the widespread marketing, you just don't see it as much as you should, I think, especially when you compare to the NBA, especially when you compare to the NFL. So marketing and making the game less expensive, I think, is a bigger issue. But I think having a game on Nickelodeon would solve kind of two of those issues a little bit, because you bring more of a younger demographic there as well. And I think just marketing wise, it's a brilliant idea. It would be spectacular if they could actually pull that off, but I think that's something that the NHL should totally look into. Again, the likelihood of this actually happening, I think, is pretty low, especially this next season. It would take a miracle to have something like that by the end of the season actually ready, because it's obvious that the NFL has planned on this for quite a while and actually worked towards it being a thing, and it wouldn't be easy to pull off. But I'm just imagining a bunch of CGI slime coming out when somebody scores the goal, having like a bunch of crazy stuff happen. There's so many ideas out there that maybe you guys could put in the comments as well to make things more fun, but I think the NFL so far has pretty much absolutely nailed it, and I think going forward, the NHL should just be more open to ideas, be more open to actually getting it. Now, in terms of a chaotic and crazy scenario here, I mean, the NHL's contract with NBC is up after this season, so maybe they go for a CBS or an ESPN and have like a bunch of games on Nickelodeon or a bunch of games on Cartoon Network or something like that. It's probably not going to happen, because I still see NBC being in the forefront of getting the rights back, but anything is possible right now, and hey, we're seeing NFL games on Nickelodeon, so we've pretty much seen it all. And honestly, if the NHL were to put a game on Nickelodeon or something like that, I would absolutely support it. Let's just, again, have those square word button and sensors on ready, because they're gonna need it. But I still think it would be amazing to see those games broadcast. Like, I don't know if I would want a Stanley Cup playoff game, especially like a final game or anything like that, to be broadcast on Nickelodeon, but just have like a great rivalry matchup, like the Canadian division would be perfect for that, or just like a great matchup like Rangers Penguins or Rangers Devils or something like that, to really put the broadcast out there. I think that would be amazing, and just having that demographic exposed to hockey, I think would do so much good. Now, that's pretty much going to be it for today. Hopefully you guys did enjoy this kind of unique and different hockey topic here today. That's just what we do, baby, but I appreciate all you guys giving this video a chance. Make sure to hit that like button, hit that subscribe button if you're new, and hit that notification bell to be reminded on all of the new videos coming out. Make sure you as well comment down below your thoughts on this potential idea. Do you agree? Do you disagree on it actually happening? And what ideas do you want to see happen if we do indeed see a game like this? Make sure you share this video with your friends. Get the idea of this game happening out there as well, and click on this card for all my hockey rankings content right on playlist. My name is Nathan. Thanks so much for tuning in, and I'll see you in the next video or stream. Goodbye.